The Tales of Apathy. This is a series that I kind of wanted to do for a while, guys. And the reason why I want to create this series, The Tales of Apathy, is because apathy itself needs to be addressed. And I truly believe that because we live in a dying society, the two virtues of a dying society itself is basically apathy and tolerance. Now, luckily, tolerance, people are already discussing about this in the political sphere, but I don't see a lot of people discussing about apathy, both politically and culturally speaking. And the reason why I want to discuss about apathy in my channel is because I personally encounter a lot of, you know, apathy related stories, if that makes any sense. So basically, I'm no stranger when it comes to encountering apathy, and there are some stories or personal encounters where it just amazes me, but at the same time, yeah, this is a harsh reality, a harsh world that we live in. And as I stated, guys, apathy is something that I want to talk about in this channel. And the main reason is because apathy itself is very dangerous to have for a broader society, you know, to have in the sense of emotions. Now, technically, by definition, which you could see the picture right here, apathy is technically a suppression of emotion, which I agree. And apathy itself, technically, it's not evil, but it is evil when it becomes very common and very um, broader in a sense where, people are apathetic towards multiple things, especially things that both directly and indirectly involves with them. And when an individual is very apathetic, it's not only self-destructing, but it could be destructing towards the people around him. And this is why I want to talk about apathy in my channel. And as I stated, guys, apathy itself is very dangerous, and it's basically the last virtue of a dying society. So, one thing I want to show you guys is this picture right here. So, this picture says hate is not the opposite of love, apathy is. And this is a even more reason why I want to discuss the subject apathy itself in this channel. A lot of people misunderstand that apathy, um, it's not evil. And most importantly, people don't hear the word apathy itself. A lot of people think that the hate is evil, and hate is not evil, guys. Hate is basically an emotion. It's kind of like similar to anger, and depending how you move the direction of hate, like what do you hate? Do you hate towards hamburgers? Do you hate towards a particular person, a particular object? It really depends on the subject itself. What do you hate? But hate itself is natural, and it could be used for good. For those of you guys who are Christians, you know that in biblical scripture, it will tell you that what to hate. Hate what is morally evil and hate the sin. That itself, it's, a morally good thing. So it really depends on hate. But as this quote right here, it says that hate is not the opposite of love, apathy is. And why apathy? Apathy is because, as I show you with the definition, going back with the definition, apathy is basically a suppression of emotion, and you lack the sense of purpose in life and consider the results of one's feeling as they do not possess the strength to confront a challenge. In other words, apathy is, for lack of a better term, is when a person don't give a damn. It's when a person don't care, and that feeling I don't care kind of acts like a lifestyle. if you know what I mean. And that becomes very dangerous because a individual will not only feel bad, but he will become eventually self-destructed. And when he becomes self-destructed, eventually he's also gonna harm people around him. And apathy is quite common towards criminals, if you think about it, guys. As a matter of fact, it is common towards criminals. Criminals don't care about themselves, and they don't care about people around them. Even though they claim they care, that this is the emotion they feel most of the time. Is apathy. And I'll discuss more about this in a later video, but for now I just want to, discuss the term itself and why I want to make more videos. So to show you a good example of a picture, this picture right here shows you why apathy, is terrible. And in a sense, it's kind of morally evil because apathy acts like a personal shield towards things of an individual that should matter to them. So this picture right here, this guy doesn't care about local politics, Olympics, education, environment, and national politics. Now the Olympics, I think that's a very specific and personal thing. But the other words right here, you could tell that this is something that is going to affect this guy directly. But since the guy is very apathetic, he doesn't care. And this is going to lead disaster for him because when an individual doesn't care things that are going to affect him both directly and indirectly, it's going to become quite easy for his environment to become, destroyed and at the same time uh, corrupted. And when I say corrupted, I mean it's gonna his environment, his surroundings are going against him, and once again, it's all because of his apathy. It's all because he doesn't care. And once his environment, things around him goes against him, then he's gonna start caring, and this is where things become ironic. But at the same time, the more apathetic he is, the more you know, the a destructive environment he will have. So this is another picture that I took, guys, and this picture right here, basically it boils down the apathy psychology, how it affects an individual in terms of emotional, behavioral, and cognitive. In other words, mentally speaking. And as you can see, all this is super negative. And once again, guys, apathy is something that needs to be addressed, and most importantly, it needs to, fight against. Apathy, in my opinion, is morally evil when apathy becomes common in a society. And I hate to say it, but we're living in a dying society, and a famous Greek philosopher said that the last virtues of a dying society is apathy and tolerance. And once again, guys, and sorry I sound like a broken record, but I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where they address the subject tolerance, like what is tolerance and what should we tolerate. But I don't see any YouTube videos that address apathy, and that's why I want to start making a series called The Tales of Apathy in this channel. And I want to talk about my personal encounters of apathy. And at the same time, I want to use news outlets and fictional stories about apathy, in order to get my point across. But see, guys, this is what I'm trying to discuss here, that apathy, when it becomes common in a society, it's going to lead to disaster. It's going to lead to disaster for the individuals and for a community and eventually for a national level. And once again, guys, this is another good picture that talks about apathy. But what I love about this picture and the reason why I want to share this with you guys is because apathy is basically the opposite of love and hate. And apathy, as you could see, this this chart right here. Apathy is literally non-emotional. It's like a suppression of emotions, and basically you don't give a damn what's going on around you and with you personally. And this obviously, if you guys see the words on this chart, you could tell that apathy is super negative. And as I stated, guys, it's also morally evil when apathy is becoming common. So this is something that needs to be addressed. And once again, guys, the Greek philosopher Aristotle, he was the one that says that the last virtues of a dying society, tolerance and apathy, are basically the last virtue of a dying society. So again, guys, this is something that apathy needs to be addressed. And once again, luckily, I've seen a bunch of YouTube videos that are talking about tolerance, uh, culturally speaking and politically speaking. But apathy, in my opinion, needs to be addressed. However, apathy is also kind of tricky because once again, it's a emotional thing, and it's a individual thing if you guys think about it. And once again, and I know I sound like I broke a record. The reason why apathy is very concerning for a society, a community, and eventually a nation itself is because when you have a lot of people being apathetic, they're not only easy to be manipulated and self harm themselves, but at the same time, the nation and the community as a whole, it's going to be very easy to be ruled by evil men. So this quote right here in this picture, the price of apathy towards public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. And Plato says this very well. And this quote right here is echoed even further by Albert Einstein. So Albert Einstein said, and I quote, "The world won't be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything." This is a perfect example of apathy. And once again, guys, apathy is basically a term to describe people suppressing their emotions and not giving a damn, like they don't care. And that sentiment, that you know, emotional state of not caring, in a sense, depending what you don't care, could be a good thing. But at the same time, when you don't care about things that directly affects you and things that indirectly affects you, when you stop caring about those particular things, it's not gonna end up well. In matter of fact, it's gonna be very destructive. And as I stated, guys, apathy itself, like a lifestyle, is not just self-destructive for the individual, but it will be destructive for the people around him. It's gonna harm the people around him. And as I stated with my example, if you look at criminals, they both don't care about themselves and they don't care about the people around them. Even though they say they do care, their actions speak louder than words. And as I stated, guys, they don't care. It's destructive for themselves and it's destructive around them. And that's why you're going to hear sad stories where a criminal got their family involved or harmed their family and they commit evil acts. And why? It's because they're apathetic. They don't care. And this is, once again, something needs to be addressed. Now, a personal story, guys, and it's a personal motivation for me why I want to make this series. Not too long ago, I witnessed a man finding a woman, an elderly woman with Parkinson, and this woman, she was just trying to park her car at a particular parking area that was full. And the reason why the parking area was full is because there's this famous taco truck that's that's in the same area, and it's very popular. This taco truck, And this elderly woman in her 50s, she was just trying to park her car, but there was a car next to the opening parking space that had its door open and basically, blocked the parking area for the car to park. And this woman gave a light beat, and the man who left his door open just went out and started insulting her. And the elderly woman with Parkinson, she didn't took the insult very lightly, so obviously she verbally defended herself. And the guy who insulted her didn't back down. He went on with his insult. And what I was so amazed is that the guy acted like he was ready to physically harm the woman. And the woman with her Parkinson, she was just verbally defending herself, but at the same time, she didn't took the insult very lightly, and it was reasonable. It was literally reasonable, and I saw the whole thing. And what was even sadder is that the guy didn't give a shit about, who he's insulting to. And what made him not only look bad, but also even more guilty is the fact that when he got out of the car, he went to a market, a quickie market close by, and he bought a bunch of beers. So, as you guys could imagine, a guy, a young man that looks like in his 20s, basically insulted an elderly woman with Parkinson and acted like he's ready to physically fight her and didn't give a damn who he is insulting to, and just went to a market, buying a bunch of beer, getting ready to get drunk. As you guys can imagine, this is a perfect example of apathy. And literally, it's sad. It's sad to see this. And I'm pretty sure for those of you guys who are watching this video, you guys see a perfect example of apathy throughout our society. And what was even more sadder is that when I was witnessing the whole thing, his friends came out of the car and basically defended him. And the woman was trying to tell his friends what he did and how she didn't like the fact that his friend insulted him. And it was kind of sad to see that because, once again, apathy. I mean, it's so sad to see something like that to occur. Literally, I could not believe it, guys. His friends did not apologize to the elderly woman. Instead, they defended his friend and they told the woman that, hey, I don't care what he did, just leave us alone. And that was so sad to see because his friend was basically inviting trouble, you know, to his to them. And he was literally being rude and insulting a elderly woman with Parkinson. And he looked like he was ready to fight the elderly woman. And me seeing that kind of upset me. Like literally, it upset me. But at the same time, I'm glad that nothing went physical. The guy eventually got his beer and went back to the car, and eventually they left. And the woman got her tacos from the taco truck. And I'm glad that nothing physically happened. It was just petty arguments and, just standing around. There was nothing physical confrontation. But I'm glad that, things didn't escalate. But stuff like that is exactly what I want to talk about in this channel, guys. And me personally, I've seen multiple times where people are being rude and they don't give a damn. And this is something that, once again, and I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, needs to be addressed. It needs to be pointed out. If we're gonna have a culture where people respect each other and at the same time be a little bit um, em- empathy with each other, then we need to first address about apathy. I mean, look at countries where their culture revolves around respect and courtesy. Look at Japan and Korea, for example. Japan and Korea, they both have the lowest crime rates in the world, and they both have one of the best education system in the world. I don't want to say education system, but more like educational performance. And the reason why is because apathy is literally the last thing that their society has. Their society encourage their people to be empathetic towards each other and be respectful towards each other, and most importantly, to care about yourself and your family. And that's why you'll see videos where in Japan and in South Korea, people study very, you know, very intensely. I seen videos where in South Korea, um, school school kids, they stay into the library until 1 a.m. Why? Because they care about their personal status and they care about their family. And see, this is something that we need in our culture. Well, not in a sense of overworking ourselves and overstudying, but in a sense of caring about oneself and their family. But apathy is preventing us from doing that. So that's all I gotta say, guys. And I just realized I'm over the 20-minute mark. So yeah, this was something that I'm gonna start doing, and I'm gonna start talking about apathy. So stay tuned for the next episode, Tales of Apathy. Well, that'll be all, guys, and see ya.